is the mansion in Beverly Hills. This thing is worth over $500 million. We actually showed part 1 earlier, and I wanted to kind of go over part 2. They're kind of doing a tour, a walkthrough of this absolute massive house. This is the largest house in Bel Air, from my understanding, or technically marketed as the largest house in the world. But they asked for $500 million starting out, and we already watched part of this, but they want $300 million now because they were unable to sell this, and they weren't able to sell it. They weren't able to get any money made from it. So he defaulted on his loan. The guy in the pink shirt is not the owner. He's being interviewed. This is the owner right here, or the guy who actually founded this house. And the first one that we did, they showed you a lot. Like, there's like 7 pools. There's like 34 bedrooms. It's just an absolute massive thing. I've never quite seen anything like it from a perspective of like a house. And it's like, I just think it's too much. But there were a couple things in here that I wanted to show you guys. Like, they talk about like the housing, the decks. So you can walk out on to the top of this house, and they couldn't get a helicopter pad. And I kind of laughed. You're asking for like $500 million, and they're just like, guys, like, you can't have a helipad. Like, they won't allow it. Like, they couldn't get like the licensing and whatever else they needed for it. That's what they wanted to do. But down there's a moat that pretty much goes around the whole building. And the fact that this has to go in 2 videos that are about 30 minutes apiece, it's so big. It's such a massive complex. Like, I don't understand how to explain it. Like, what do you do? Like, hey, I have a bedroom, I have an office, you know, I got like a gaming room, whatever. And then, oh, look, here's another bar. Oh, look, there's another bar. Like, what do you do? It's $500 million. Like, that's just to get your foot in the door. I don't even want to know what like property tax would be. I feel like if you can even afford this, you don't really care. But if you watch this, like, he's going to go through a lot of these areas, and it's just like, hey, here's a house. Like, here's another room with like a bed in it. And then, okay, cool. It's awesome. And then you walk into another room, and it's like, here's another bar. And they take a little step, you know, down the hallway again. It's like, hey, look, here's another bar. Oh, look, another bar. And it's just like, what do you guys do? Like, how is this reasonable? Like, obviously the views are pretty cool, and I think that, you know, that's awesome, but it doesn't feel like a house to me. It feels like a complex, you know. And he'll talk a little bit more on it. This is like a master bedroom, I think, is what he's actually going to show us here, which is something I wanted to see. So look, you got a bar in your master bedroom. You know, you get this isn't the kitchen. This is just like a walk-in little area. He's like, we haven't seen the kitchen.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bar. It has a.
You probably have like a bunch of cooling and stuff under there, snacks, whatever else.
This is the hers bath. It has its own steam.
His and her bathroom. So it's all separated.
Check the closet out.
You still. This is your closet. I don't understand. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm at a store, right? You know, you go in here and you're just like, yeah, let me go grab some clothes real quick. Oh. He actually does talk about like the cabinet stuff. He's like explaining how they were all custom made, and there's certain fancy materials and how they roll out, let alone like a watch holder. He keeps going on about it, but it's like, you know, I don't really care too much to go into that. But I think my favorite part is there's a conversation he has with this guy, or the guy behind the camera. And he's like, yeah, there's a place we could, you know, watch like the UFC fight. We could watch the fight. And they keep walking around for like 20 minutes. And he's like, yeah, I'll show you. And then they get to another area, and he's like, oh, is this where you thought? He's like, no, I'll show you. And he just keeps going on because there's just so much stuff going on. But this is just the master bedroom. You know, you got a bunch of like places to put all your clothes. He talks about the watches, like a little watch holder. That basically you can stick your watches in there, and people can't really technically steal them if you had like a house party or something. They just kind of like wandered off around your house. You got your other bathroom, couple showers, steamer, and whatever, toilet and whatever, all, you know, sectioned off in here. And then so you have like 1, 2, and 3. But it's just like weird because it's like how open it is. You know, a lot of these rooms they're just so big. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but it's just so big. Like, what do you even do? This guy doesn't own it. It's the other guy. Technically, I wouldn't really say anybody owns it. You would argue the bank does. This is the guy who built it and who's working on it. He's done projects like this before. It's just with COVID, he was asking for about $500 million for this house, but they couldn't find a buyer. So the bank foreclosed on him, and he took like $160 million loan, essentially, I think is what was wrapped into it, roughly around that number. And he foreclosed on it. So now it's up for sale for the low price of like $300 million. That's what I heard last, and that was a couple weeks ago. So this house is, it's massive. You see all these different bedrooms. You're still kind of like in one area. Then he talks about like this walkout area. So when you walk out here, there's a pool here. You have a TV, and the TV goes on this rail, so you can like move it around. And they talked about how you had to build that, but to me it just seems excessive. It's like, do you really need a TV that you can move? It also hides, like they can slide it into a wall that sits behind here. But they have like this little infinity kind of pool. And you'll see it here when they walk out. But the TV system, he's talking about how they had to build the railing for it, was just absurd. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars just to come in. Yeah, it's whatever, just to build the frame. It's like, why do you spend so much money on that? like you don't need it. Just stick it to the wall, man. Like you don't need it. And then you can see like the glass that they used in order to have this pool here. Like how thick it is. It's literally like 4 inches, 3 to 4, like probably about 4 inches or so. I mean, it looks cool, but like why? like it's just it. Like it just seems obnoxious to me. Like there's no point. And then not only that, it's like how many pools? So you got this one here, you got one below you. There's another one that goes all the way around the house, like the little moat. I want to say there's like 10 pools or something more. Like there's even more. But yeah, this is where he's talking about the TV, how it slides out on this railing, but it also hides in the wall. Like, but at the same point, it's like, yeah, you see this gigantic thing here. Like, who cares? I don't know. It just seems kind of nuts to me, like a little excessive. Like you don't really need it. But what are you gonna do? Put it on a stand or something? Like, I don't know, maybe. just hang it on the wall somewhere. But this is also the house that has like a whole movie theater set up, and other stuff as well, like a nightclub in it. Just crazy, ridiculous stuff. So it's like, yeah, let's just put a TV on a rail, like why not? This is the outside of the house. We showed it a little earlier, but I don't think people realize like how big. Like it's big. There are a couple more favorite parts in here that I'll try to find if we can. I think this is like them like talking about the hallway. They're like, yeah, we're still got a ways to go, but this is just a hallway. It's like 3 stories, and you look down. It's like being at a shopping center, dude. Like this is like going to the mall. Like why is this so? Like I can't imagine living there. Oh, let me go get my brother real quick. Hold on. It's like. You probably have to call him on your fucking cell phone. You can't just like run down the hallway to find him. You couldn't even find him. It's just ridiculous. But he does talk about like, oh, what his favorite thing about the house is, and I really hate his answer. He's like, oh, how the house can change the world. It's like, bro, it's a fucking house, all right? Like, it's a house. This is the garage. And this part, I actually kind of like this. This is kind of cool. It's really simple, but it's like a 40-car, 30-car garage. But there's something that if they show it, they put the one, which is the name of the house, and they put Bel Air on it. And in the top right corner here, you have a display for your car. So let's say you have, $1 million car, whatever else. You can park it in there and it just spins. They got one on the right side and they got another one on the left side. So you have 2 of them. And it's like, well, I mean, if you're a big car guy and you collect a shitload of cars, I can imagine you might want a way to display your cars, if that's your thing. So that is actually kind of cool. Is it necessary? No. No, nothing about this house is necessary, like at all. It's just insane. Like there's no point. You need a 40-car garage? Nah, I think I'm good. They start walking down here. You got another little lounge area. And that's what I thought was so weird about this house was it's like, hey, here's a place you can just kind of relax and sit down and hang out right here. And then, oh, an extra every like 100 feet. Oh, here's another spot. You can just kind of relax and sit down. It's this guy's house in the white hat. Like, it's just so obnoxious. He does a good interview, like in terms of talking to him and, going over the house. He actually does a pretty all right job. You can find his channel on YouTube if you search for it, but I'll have a link for it too. But he usually does a lot of this type of content. And I've seen a couple other creators talk about this house just because it's such a big deal. 300 million is the asking. I think they were 160 million like in debt. They asked for 500K, but they couldn't do it in time. Some of the house was unfinished. It was just such a big project, and then he defaulted on his loans. So the bank took it back, is essentially what happened. The bank was like, hey, we're going to take over it, and we're going to sell it for whatever and get our money back if they could. But you have to think, like, how do you sell a $500,000 house, like not $500,000, but $500 million house in order to do it? So this is an area, it's like a bar, and then you have like a winery like behind it. You're supposed to have like just a dinner table with all this like refrigerator space for your wine. And they talk, oh yeah, you can eat with all the wine. And it's like, dude, this is like the 5th dining room I've seen in this house like already. Like, do you need that? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it just seems obnoxious. This was on a live stream, Jake, but this is the second part. We didn't actually get to the first part. So we're still going through the second. This part was kind of cool. I'll give him credit for this. I thought it was interesting. This is all your network stuff. So like to have all your routers, all your internet, all your cabling, everything else that runs and does everything on the house. They decided just to show it off. So they put the glass wall here and they're just like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just put it out in the open so people can see it. And that's like, imagine that. Like, think about that. Like how much networking you have to have like, just for this house. It's not like your normal, like, ooh, I got my router, you know, I got like 3 ports. If you build it, they will come. That was kind of the idea though. He wanted to build this house. His whole idea was that you have a nightclub there. You can do concerts, you can do parties, you can do events, you can have festivals, people come out, rent it. Yeah, you can do like kind of entertain like the super rich in a sense, but more of like a kind of like a hotel in a way. You know, you have people come in and out, they can stay there, whatever. And then at the same time, you can also host events and then have it being more of like a gathering place, not so much like a house, right? You know, it's like, yeah, you can live there. Sure, it's somewhat private, but it's more of like using it as like a showroom or an entertainment center for whoever purchases it. You know, it's like you can have whoever you want to come over. You can do all this stuff with them, and it's just kind of ridiculous. But I don't know, like he's got his own little hair salon because who doesn't need that? Like Airbnb, yeah, a little bit different though. He's showing off a house that's no longer his. Well, this was filmed a long time ago. This is when they were still constructing part of the house, and they were doing this, I think, at the time to try to get marketing for this house because they were having a hard time selling it. So he started doing more videos, more public awareness, trying to get, you know, people to be aware of it. Because you have to think, like, how many people in the world can afford it? Like, let alone want it. It's like, yeah, I'll buy it for $500 million. I think that's a big deal. Like, you have any idea how big your net worth has to be before you can even consider that? So there's only a few people that could potentially do this. This is what I laugh to. It's like, hey, we got a massage room. It's like, boom, massage table. That's it. Like just super tiny, just stuck in there. And it's like, yep, you got nothing. He's still talking about like how to show off the, like, oh, I'll show you the UFC thing here in a minute. But this pool was pretty cool. I kind of like it because this wall on the left side is actually like an actual plant. So it's like a living wall. It's like moss or whatever the hell it is, but it actually grows. You just kind of like spray some water on there every so often, and it's all whatever. But you're gonna need to hire like a gardener come in here. I mean, take care of that because I ain't taking care of it. Hey, you know, the wall's dying. Can you fix it? They got a gym in here too. One of many. I showed the first part. We weren't able to show the second part of this house. I know people are gonna be like, but you already saw this. And again, here's another bar. And this isn't even the sports bar. He asks him again. He's just like, dude, like, we got another sports bar here. And he's like, oh, this is not where. And he's like, no. He's like, I'll show you. I'll show you here. I'll show you. And they're talking about like how far they have to walk. Just looking down a random hallway, how far away it is. It's like, yeah, cool, you got a bar, but I would lose track. Like, where are you at in the house? I'm so lost already. The pool was saltwater, by the way, if you guys want to just have something even more expensive. Gym and juice bar. I think we already kind of showed that. This is just kind of one of the main hallways. He's back in the main hallway, still talking about like, well, yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. This area here. This is kind of, I think, where he talks about like the sports bar area. You got another bar. You walk in, you got enough rooms. You got like a TV here. Not a TV, sorry. I think we might have skipped over it. You got a bowling alley. I'd probably spend a little bit of my time in this house. And then right here, I thought it was a TV room. It's not. It's not a TV room. What's behind him there is like a golf driving range, like a virtual driving range. You got your little, you know, bowling alley, a 4-lane bowling alley. Not 2, 4, because why not? And then you have like your little, you know, virtual golf driving range right here. And at first I was like, oh, I thought it was just a big TV that you could have on in the background. It's like, nah, not quite. A little different. So they talk about that a little bit too, and it's just excessive. And I think you have a TV on the wall here as well. I don't think they actually turn it on or anything, but it's like, dude, like this is a whole nother bar area of the house. Like, how many more do you need? He's got another pool table. I think this is this the staffing quarters? Because there's something that was like really weird, and I was gonna show it. I don't know if they like stuck it at the end of the video. But this is not, yeah. This is like, yeah, you can't watch the UFC thing, but they actually take you into this room. And this is where he talks about. So you have your own little private movie theater. That's huge. You're like, oh yeah, you can get like 10 people in here. Nah, it's more like 30. Like when you count the seats, I think some of these are dual seats. And then some are like just big single seats, but it's like, holy shit, like that's an actual fucking movie theater. And the screen's massive. It's probably actually like almost, yeah, it's probably about the same size. It might actually be like a normal regular sized theater screen. Good God. Like there's no reason for like half of this. Like what would you even do? Have like your entire extended family move in with you? At that point? Like, oh, it's actually like a 3-way couch in the middle. God, that's ridiculous. At least you'd be kind of comfortable, maybe. Another bar. Movie theater room. They're back in the hallway. I think this is the guest quarters. So you come back out, and then I think they go down, or is this not the guest quarters? No, that's not the guest quarters. They have a guest house, I think is what it was. This is just the unfinished area. I think it's supposed to be like tennis courts or something. I think is that they talked about. But this is this is what kind of made me laugh, dude. Let's see if I can find it. This is your guest house, like for your staff. So they walk down this hallway, and it's like, yeah, we got this guest rooms for you know, well, staff rooms for everyone to stay in, and they're like unfinished. But like he'll walk in and pop into one of them. Look how tiny it is. It's like, yeah, we got like the you know, the staff quarters, you know, you could put some bunk beds in here. This is their little like, yeah, look at their shelving. It's like, yeah, hey, we got some got a microwave for you, you know, a couple things if you need it. It's not super fancy. It's just complete opposite of everything else that you would normally have at the beginning of the house. It's so backwards. I wish they actually showed the inside of the room on one of them, but they don't really do a good job of it. It's like, yeah, you can, yeah, there's like a little tiny bathroom in the corner when you walk in, and he's like, yeah, you can have bunk beds in here. It's just like, dude, like, why? Like, what is the point behind all this? You have this massive house and then this like 10-foot by 10-foot regular sized bedroom for staff. It's like, look, we want you to work there, but we don't really care about you. Like, but like, I get it, but oh man, it just feels like it sends the wrong message in a lot of ways. But no, this house was too much. This shit's ridiculous. I can't. Not anymore. We can't do it. Can't do it.